everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class, and it's also time for week 4 of Rocktober. We had our first week 4 class yesterday. Holy crap, we're already at the end of October, which is just madness. But yeah, we're trucking right along. So today is week 4 for Jump Around. Oh man, we've been doing so much over this month. Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope that your week's going pretty well. It's still lovely and snowy out, although it's up to 50 degrees today. So I think over the course of the next week, Colorado will dance back up into the fall-ish zone, which is fairly common for around here. You know, we got our big October snow, and now it's time to pretend that it's fall for a little bit longer before we move into winter. But still enjoying the weather, very much liking the additional precipitation around, and you know, anything that encourages us all to stay inside and, you know, continue thinking about quarantine procedures, because Colorado's spiking pretty bad right now. I believe that Denver County and maybe Adams County are going back to more intensive quarantine restrictions, and you know, not in Boulder County yet, but gotta keep our eyes out. And it's just, you know, everybody, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope that you are wearing a mask every time you leave your house. I hope that you're washing your hands. Because, you know, a lot is happening right now in our country and in the world, and it's important that we maintain our health so that we can keep dealing with all that other stuff. But today's a beautiful day. Let's focus on that. Today is our 4th week of October. Let's really focus on that. Holy crap, I'm so excited that we've gotten here. What an amazing month it's been for just challenging ourselves and improving ourselves. I'm really, really excited. And I'm excited for next week in particular, because next week we're gonna redo all the week 1 programs again, just so that you can really get a sense of how far you've come. How much easier do these programs feel when you're only doing 20-second, 30-second work intervals instead of 45-second or 1-minute work intervals? It's going to be amazing, and I really want you to have that comparison point. Again, you know, so much of what we're doing is trying to learn more about our bodies, about the signals that they send, about you know, about the adaptations that they make as we exercise, and also being able to notice when we are improving, because we don't always notice right off the bat, which is how you end up with, you know, what feels like just a sudden improvement with no warning. Well, it's not with no warning. You've been improving for a while. You've been building up that strength and that power for a while. You just didn't notice the incremental shifts until one day the shifts were too great for you to avoid. And so that's what I really hope that everyone's able to get out of this past month. And I know that I've definitely been feeling a lot stronger and a lot more stamina in particular. So I'm looking forward to next week as well, so that I can pat myself on the back even more and go, ooh, yeah, you did some great work over the course of this last month. And then we'll head into a brand new month where we'll do some totally different programs, which will also be quite nice. It'll be nice to get a little variety, a little creativity back in there, and just have a little fun. But yeah, for anyone who this is your first class, welcome. This is going to be a slightly disconcerting time to join because, as I said, we are in week 4 of a month-long program of intensity ramp-ups, and we've been doing the same exercises each week, so I'm not going to be spending as much time describing exercises as I normally would. So you can always look up at the screen, and I'll be demonstrating things as we do the work intervals. You can always throw questions, form questions in the chat, but just keep in mind that this is a little bit of an unusual structure. It's not super far off from what we usually do, but there are enough differences that I want to caveat that for anyone who this is your first program. Welcome. Also, it's going to be intense. All right, friends, it's 4:30 and I'm feeling good. It's been a good day, but I'm also feeling like not low energy, but not high energy. I'm in that like perfect mid-range, but I've got more studying that I have to do tonight, so I want to sort of ramp my energy levels back up. So what better way to do it than with kicking off class? Holy crap. Let's go through our pre-class checklist really quickly. We got our water. Yes, I'm back to my usual mason jar. I found it yesterday. I didn't know where it had gone, but I found it. So make sure you've got something that holds water that you can drink water out of. We got our comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. We've got our mats, or mat-sized spaces on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on to your high-intensity interval training setting. For anyone who came yesterday, don't worry, this is not a perpetual motion class, so we will have breaks for you to stop moving and drink that water. So no bouncing up and down and trying to drink water while not spilling it all over yourself. You'll be fine, I promise. But yeah, I'd say it's time to get started with our warm-up. All right, my friends. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not feeling like worn down, but I'm definitely feeling lower energy right now. And I've done a lot of stuff today, so that may be part of it. I've had a very productive day, which is really wonderful. But it also has an impact on our energy levels. And, even if that productivity is primarily intellectual, I've been studying and writing and reading and all of that stuff, but that still uses energy. We don't think about that. And so it's probably going to take me a little bit longer to ramp up today, and it may take you the same. So always remember that these are things that your trainer deals with just as much. So, it's one of my goals is to always remind people that we are all having similar experiences as we do these classes, as we lie down on our mats, on our backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee to start doing those hip rocks and bridges. As soon as we hear the horn go, there is I always want to be breaking down the facade that professionals, professional fitness instructors or professional athletes don't have those same experiences where you feel worn down, where you feel tired, where you feel like you are starting class with an energy deficit. That is totally normal. We all go through it. It's one of the reasons why when we're doing our warm-up, I really focus everybody in on, we're not ramping straight up to 11 in terms of our energy output, because we don't want to just shock the system. We want to build up to it. We want our brains and our bodies to be able to turn on all of the systems that we need to use for class. And on a day when you're feeling a little bit like you're starting at that energy deficit, just keep that in mind, you know. And maybe, you know, people have different approaches to that. On some days, maybe the best approach for me is acknowledging that energy deficit and just, you know, reminding myself that that is totally fine and that I will probably build up the additional energy as class goes on and as those energy systems are activated and start actually working. Or maybe I'll go, all right, I really want to pump myself up, so I'm going to actively put a little bit of additional effort into this to really jumpstart myself a little bit, since I feel like I'm starting from a little further behind. And these are both totally fine approaches. There's no one size fits all for any of this work. And I like to emphasize that a lot because we get stuck so easily in these one size fits all mindsets. And it's not even one size fits all just for ourselves as individuals, let alone for everybody else in the world doing classes and programs like this. You know, my approach to class will differ depending on the day, depending on what's happened during it, you know, depending on what happened last night, depending on, am I struggling with something right now, or am I really excited about something right now, or have I just had a really busy day? All of these things impact our exercise, you know? And you've heard me say this before, but I don't subscribe to the philosophy that I've heard a lot of teachers use, which is, yeah, you know, leave all that stuff at the door. You're here on the mat. You're here to work, kind of a thing. Like, well, that's simply not how brains or bodies work. We don't magically leave all of that stuff at the door just because somebody tells us to. Now, we can create environments of inspiration for ourselves that can help us to sort of jumpstart that excitement and engagement. So it's very possible that stepping onto your mat, regardless of how you felt over the rest of the day, is something that automatically gets some of those endorphins going, because you go, all right, I am about to do a really awesome workout, and that's super cool. But it's not like that for everybody, and that's totally fine. And the worst thing that you can do is try and pretend that everything else that you are dealing with in your life, in your mind, in your body doesn't exist, because it still does. And trying to pretend that it doesn't can sometimes be a really great way to injure ourselves. It can also be a really great way to overtrain ourselves, which has a lot of negative impacts. And it just teaches us that we are supposed to be, you know, ashamed or fearful of our experiences, and that's just not the case. So whenever you come to class, I always want you to know that this is a safe space for you to have, to bring whatever experiences you are working through right now. You know, be they good, bad, or neutral. You know, that's sort of where I am right now. Like, it's been a great day in terms of productivity, and I'm just feeling kind of neutral on my energy levels. Like, I'm not feeling like super pumped up. I'm not feeling super run down. I'm just sort of in an equilibrium. And, you know, by acknowledging that and letting myself, you know, start there and maybe build a little bit more slowly over the course of the warm-up towards, you know, towards my peak energy output, I'm going to have a more enjoyable workout than I would if I came here and tried to pretend that I wasn't experiencing that, and by, you know, overtaxing myself because that tends to be our answer when we think that we're supposed to be doing better. Our answer tends to be, well, I got to use a heavier weight, or I got to push for more reps, or, all that stuff. And sometimes the answer is just, I need to acknowledge where my body is at and let it ramp itself up at its own pace. And from the perspective of people who are using exercise as a really positive, ongoing tool in our toolbox, that's going to be a much better approach for you than trying to guilt or shame yourself into, going to 11 every single time. So, anyway, but it is nice to be on the mat. And, this is part of the reason that I like to have the cardio class on Wednesdays, is because they do still retain this reputation as, it's hump day, we're in the middle of the week, so, we're farther away from the beginning of the week than we were, but we're not really close enough to the weekend yet, and people start to get a little lower energy as we get through to Wednesday. It's like, oh my God, I've already done so much stuff this week and now I have to do more. And having a cardio class on that day can be a really great way of sort of re-jump starting all of that energy, coming out of our Wednesday, getting on the mat, and just doing a really intensive cardio class and getting to the end of it and being like, oh man, that was a great class. And it reminded me that I do have all of this energy, and now I can go make myself an awesome dinner and go to bed and sleep really well and sort of wake up hopefully refreshed the next day. So I know that the Wednesday class definitely has that effect for me, which is really wonderful. And I hope it does for you as well, because sometimes we do need that pick-me-up, and exercise can be a pick-me-up. Oh man, wow. Let me tell you, my friends, I am feeling some stiffness and soreness in my hamstrings from yesterday's class. That was an intense one. That was our perpetual motion class where we never stopped moving. And, to be fair, I stopped moving because I'm the teacher and I need to maintain some of my lung capacity to be able to describe what we're doing. But it was all full 1 minute work intervals, perpetual motion timers, so no rest points in between there. And then when you're done with the workout timer, instead of getting to stop and rest, you go into the active rest exercise, which is cross tracks here in this class. And 1 minute is a lot of time. That was really intense and hard. And I am very much looking forward to doing that class next week and just seeing how much easier it feels to maintain stamina and energy through the class when it's 30-second work intervals instead of 1 minute work intervals. So that's going to be fun. But today I am experiencing sore hamstrings, which means we'll have a lovely stretching sequence at the end of class, I think, because, having a good cool down is an important part of our exercise. Oh, all right, here we go. Into our Samson stretches. Nice straight leg behind us, reaching those arms straight up towards the ceiling. We're not trying to reach them behind us. We're just trying to reach them directly up. So there's always going to be a little bit of a curve to the lower back just because of the position we're in, but we're not actively trying to lean backwards as we do this. We're really focusing on sinking down into the hips and increasing that stretch along the front of the hip flexor, okay? That's where we are focusing our attention. So every time you get into position, just try and sink down a little bit more deeply before switching to the other side. All right, and now for our nice wide squat position. Remember, you're holding that squat in place. We're not bouncing up and down out of it. The only things moving are your shoulders. So they are twisting in towards the midline, first one, then the other. And so that's the only part of your body moving right now. We're getting a nice twist in the upper back, finishing out our back and hip sequence, really opening up these hips, speaking of, because we're down in this really wide, really low squat. We've got our hands on our knees to make sure our knees are staying safely over our feet and just really sinking in to all the stretches. All right. Whew. Up we go. And it's time for jumping jacks. Remember again, we're heading into the cardio section of the warm-up, but we're not here trying to ramp up to full intensity. This is still a warm-up, so we are still in the process of turning on those last systems. So we're getting our heart rate going a little bit faster, we're getting our breath coming a little bit faster, and just finalizing all of the preparations with our brain and with our muscles to be like, all right, here we are ready to exercise, and we are gonna kick ass and take names for the rest of this hour-long class. All right, down to our kick-throughs. So again, if you're new to the exercise, you can move pretty slowly from side to side because there are a lot of components of this movement, and you want to make sure that you are really digging into the form, okay? So knee pointing straight up at the ceiling, trying to keep this leg around a 90-degree angle so that when you switch to the other side, you're not putting really unhealthy torquing pressures on your knee, okay? Which is what will happen if you're either sinking your butt down like this or letting that knee start caving forward, okay? Always want the knee going straight over the foot. All right, here we are for last but not least, our burpees. Make sure you're doing a wave push-up, not a plank, okay? So you jump back into a plank, but then you let the hips come down first, then the chest, push up to the plank, jump the feet forward, and a big victory clap at the top. We're keeping our elbows right in by our sides, all right? So not letting them fan out away from the body. And we are ready to really dig in to the rest of class. We know that we're here and we are all warmed up. All right, let's get the timer going. And water. Water time. And that's it. No more of that, because I don't want to get bullshit pulled on my VODs. There we go. Much better. All right. A good warm-up, my friends. I'm still getting used to the new lighting setup, so it's definitely still a little overwhelming having the big soft boxes here. But so if you ever see me doing class in my sunglasses, I'm not trying to be cool. I'm just trying to shield my eyes. No, I think the lighting has been an unqualified success, honestly. And it definitely makes me feel a lot happier about what we're doing. All right, let's see here, my friends. I'd say it's time to get started. So our timer structure today will be all 45 seconds of work to 15 seconds of rest. And we will, for most of these, be doing 2 exercises and alternating between them. There are a couple where we may do just 1 exercise, the full 8 rotations. But yeah, either way, 8 rotations, and you're either doing 1 exercise that whole time or you're switching back and forth. So we're going to start out with our turtle burpees, which all of you who have been taking this class for a while are aware of. As I said at the beginning, I'm not going to be just spending as much time describing, because I want to make sure that we have as much time as possible to actually do everything. But I will be up here performing the exercises with you as per usual. So our turtle burpees. So as soon as we hear the knocking, there it was, knock, knock, knock. We get ready to first roll up onto our shoulders, then onto our feet, wave, push up, jump, and again. So this is similar to the burpees that we just did in the warm-up, but it is different enough that you will probably have to take a little time to just focus your brain on what you're doing. So that provides us a nice opportunity to just re-engage our brain and go, okay, this exercise is familiar, but also slightly different than my brain is expecting. Also remember, we have an extra 5 seconds in our rest intervals. So if you're like me, very attuned to rhythm and going, I should have heard the knocking by now, it's probably because you're remembering the cadence of a 10-second rest interval and not a 15. I do that pretty much every time that I run a 45-15 Tabata. I forget it each time. Each time I go, wait, why is it taking so long to get to the end of the timer? And each time I remember why. So yeah, we get into routines. We get into habits. And routines are good, you know? They can be helpful, grounding and steadying influences, and they can really help us to dig in and achieve what we want to achieve, you know, both here in class when it comes to our fitness, but also basically everywhere else in our lives. But they can also feel a little stagnant after a while and a little exhausting to have to keep pushing ourselves through. So when you notice that, it can be really good to make even a small change. All right? It doesn't have to be, I'm gonna completely switch up what I'm doing, but even just small changes can help us to just re-engage our brains, reactivate that that creativity, and get a new lease on whatever we're working on. So keep that in mind, because it's very easy to fall into those ruts, fall into those plateau points, and go, oh, well, obviously the answer is to do a complete overhaul of what I'm trying to do. And, that might be the answer in some cases. But it's also frequently not the answer. Frequently, we can achieve the effect that we're going for with small changes, like doing a turtle burpee instead of a regular burpee, and just spending a little extra time going, okay, what am I supposed to do in this place? This wave push-up is the same. Oh, but I'm not clapping overhead, and then I roll back on my shoulders, and then I'm back to that jump sequence. So just that little bit of difference allows me to really dig my brain in and have an opportunity to wake it up and engage it in the movement. Whew. All right, we are coming along really well, my friends. Holy crow, this is intense, and this is gonna be all of class. We're not having any 30-10 or 20-10. It's all 45-15 today. So keep in mind that the beauty of the Tabata timer setup is that it gives us this built-in rest that can help us to settle ourselves and dig back in with just as much energy and intensity when we start the movement again. So, not with our perpetual motion sets, we have to manage our energy so that we can keep moving the whole time. With Tabatas, we really have the opportunity to push our intensity and our power to close to their limit each time, because then we get that sweet 15 seconds of rest, and we get to bring our heart rate down a little bit, bring our breathing down a little bit, and then have the energy build back up to spend the next 45 seconds really pushing ourselves. So remember, whenever we're doing the Tabatas, our goal is sprinting, okay? These are the sprints of this kind of class. And so we want to be really giving it our all as best as we can, and then taking that time, rest, breathe, really dig into it. All right, so you are on your final run through these turtle burpees, so check in on your form. Make sure it is still just as good as it was at the beginning of this set. So check in on where your elbows are when you do the push-up. checking on that jump, rolling up on your shoulders, and then up on those feet, jumping back into that plank position, and then happily ending and sitting down for some water. Oh yeah. Oh, much better. Woo! Yeah, I am already pretty sweaty, my friends, and I hope you are as well, because that's what we're going for, you know? Exercise is not supposed to be this like perfect, clean endeavor. You're supposed to get red in the face, covered in sweat, panting away, and, you know, getting sweat stains in weird places. That's all part of the experience, part of the expectation. So don't ever let anybody make you feel ashamed or embarrassed about that. The number of ads that I've seen for products aimed at women that are like, oh no, you have sweat stains in the crotch of your exercise pants. That's horrifying and will never do. Use our product to avoid that. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, that just shows that I'm exercising and sweating like a normal human, I might add, because sweating is part of our cooling system. It is an important component of this work. I get grumpy because people like to make us feel ashamed for the things that there's no reason for us to feel ashamed. All right, my friends, what are we going to do next? I think we are going to do squat jumps and push-ups today. All right, so you know the drill. Feet shoulder width apart for those squat jumps. Push-ups, always keeping our elbows by our sides, but you can do them full plank, you can do full wave, you can do from the knees. Whatever modification you want to do is totally fine. Ooh, I need to moisturize after class. That's the other thing about Colorado, is it is so dry here. And my skin doesn't like that under the best of circumstances, but it really hates it when we head into winter, when it gets even drier and cold. And so I definitely have to get better at moisturizing as the seasons change, because otherwise I just end up with cuts and cracks all over my hands. Whew. All right, my friends, this is super intense, and I want you all to feel proud of yourselves for getting through. And man, squat jumps, that's one of those exercises that I saw a colleague running with one of her clients and was like, ooh, that looks fun and intense. And it is quite intense and quite fun to watch someone do. But it's always a really good reminder to me to actually do the exercise and just remind myself of the intensity and of how difficult it can be. You know, any trainer worth their salt should be trying to test out all of the exercises that they're having their clients do. And, you know, just remind ourselves of how awesome you all are and how much we are asking so that we can be the best cheerleaders that we possibly can be. Because that's the thing I love about this job, as you all know, is getting to cheerlead for you all and really just feel so proud of the work that you're doing and just everything that you're achieving. It's amazing. And you should be super proud of it. And, you know, I'm super proud. And I want you to know that because sometimes we're going on, we're doing stuff, and we're just like, if we're taking class, and we're like, oh my God, does that person have any idea of the intensity of what they're having us do? And it's one of the things I love about streaming as opposed to teaching in person, because when I teach in-person classes, I don't generally do the exercises along with my students, because if I'm in person, I like to walk around, I like to check people's form and just make sure that I'm giving corrections where they're needed and all that kind of stuff. You know, and so I will demonstrate like 2 or 3 times in a row for each exercise, but I will not be doing the whole class along with them. Here, doing streams, I don't have that option, you know? I need you guys to be able to see what the exercises look like and what is expected. So I definitely appreciate that so much about doing these streams. It is just getting to always, every day, remind myself of how intense these things that I'm asking you to do really are, you know? And I'm not doing everything with you, which just makes it even clearer, you know? I'm not doing all 8 sets up here because, again, I need to be able to talk. I need to be able to describe what we're doing and to keep pumping you up and all that stuff. And so even now, I'm not doing the entirety of the class. And so when I tell you that I am very proud of the work you're doing and of the effort you are putting in to everything that's happening here on your mat, I hope that you know how much I mean that. I am so proud of each and every one of you for all of the effort that you are putting in to this class. It is amazing and inspiring, honestly. Super inspiring. So if you're having trouble inspiring yourself today, just remember that you are absolutely inspiring me. And I hope that that helps remind you of how awesome you are and how much you are achieving every time you're in class, and particularly over this last month. You know, we have been ramping up super intensely for 4 weeks now, and we've been increasing the amount of exercise time and decreasing the amount of rest time every week, which is one of the tried and true methods for improving overall performance. You know, combination of increasing the number of reps and decreasing the amount of rest time. And so you've been coming into class every week and having this additional challenge presented to you, and you've been going, all right, let's do this. And that's just so cool. So please, please, always remember how awesome I think you are, because I know that this class is feeling really intense for me, and I'm supposed to be the professional up here, so I hope that you understand that no matter how intense it feels today, no matter how much you may feel like you're struggling, you are doing a great, great job, and you have come so far, and you should be really proud of yourself. All right. Whew. Let us get some more water, because that is one of the most important things that we can do in any fitness class, but particularly when we're here doing our cardio, all right? Ooh. Yeah, hydration, super important. And we are not good at doing it. So please always make sure to remember hydration. Make sure to remember that water should be a big part of it. You know, there's a time and a place for energy drinks, but it's not all the time. It's not the be all and end all of rehydrating. You need to make sure that you're also doing straight up water, all right? Or fizzy water. I have friends who will only drink water if they've, thrown it through a soda stream. And that's a good thing to know about themselves, and that's how they keep hydrated. So, if you need to find those modifications, as with anything, find the modifications that can help you do the thing consistently, okay? Again, nothing is one size fits all, all right? Absolutely nothing. Okay, my friends, our next set is going to be shrimps and skips. Yay! You know how much I love shrimps. So this is a cardio day, so let's really go for speed and power on those shrimps. So let's see how many laps we can do back and forth across the mat. And then our skips, just staying in place, small hops. You know the drill. You know what I'm asking of you. I trust you. We've been at this for 4 weeks now, so I know that you know what we're about. All right, get ready, get set. Hiya. So remember that you need to hold back on the distance that you move your hips in this exercise. You need to keep them in line with how far you can move your shoulders, because your shoulders just cannot move as far as your hips can. But if you are trying to, let your hips go the full distance and your shoulders aren't able to catch up, then that's how we end up turning ourselves in awkward circles on the mat, which is obviously not what we are trying to do. I do love a good core exercise, as anyone who's been in class for long enough knows. So enjoying our core respite, because for our cardio October, we really haven't done a ton of core focused stuff. We've been really focused on the cardio intensity, speed, power, and those exercises. And our core exercises don't generally come in that vein. Not the exercises that are really specifically focused in on the core. Obviously, our core comes into play in almost everything that we do, but we haven't, done ankle reaches or TikToks or the slow leg lower or anything like that on these Wednesdays. So I know that I really like having an opportunity to get something much more core focused into the docket. on this day. Even if it's just for the one run, it's still great. And actually, we're gonna have another one in our next set, which is very exciting as well. Oh man. All right, my friends, so you are shrimping away. Remember, keep track of the number of laps that you do and see if you can add in another whole lap or maybe another half of a lap, all right? Just check back in each time you circle around to the shrimps and go, all right, am I still at the very least going with the same speed and intensity that I was at the beginning? And can I maybe ramp it up a little bit more? You know, let's dig in, let's find those little pockets of energy that we have hidden away, stashed away, and go, all right, it's time to start using some of them. Not all of them, because we still got a little bit more to go in class, but you know, try not to save all of those pockets of energy for the end of class. You know, we like to really dig in that final cardio Tabata, and really push ourselves, and that's important. But you know, again, with Tabatas, they are mini sprints sprinkled throughout our entire workout, and you don't want to be holding back more energy than you have to, because you want to be able to really use that as a tool to really push yourself forward and challenge yourself and go, all right, today I used some extra energy on this, and maybe the next time that I do this class, that won't be, you know, an extra energy pocket that I had to dig down and find. It'll just be part of my base layer of energy. And that is always really exciting to feel when we notice ourselves improving our overall power and stamina, where we're like, okay, well, that used to be something that I had to really push myself to find, that piece of energy, and now it just seems to be a part of my standard operating procedure. And again, we want to find all the ways that we can to cheer ourselves on and to remind ourselves that we are improving. So take that time, pay attention to those little improvements, even if all you did was start back one length down the mat before the horn went, one extra length past where you went last time. Look, it's one extra length, and that means that you had additional energy. It was there, and you could access it, and you could use it. So always look for those opportunities, and be super proud of yourself when they come about, because man, it's intense. This is all intense. Even this round, which is a little less heavy than many of our rounds have been, it still is taking energy. It's still taking a ton of effort. So just be proud of yourself for what you're achieving, and yeah, keep track of your improvements and use them as opportunities to pat yourself on the back, both sides, even it out, and go, good job, me. You're really working hard today, and I'm proud of you. All right? Really digging into the reminders that we're proud of ourselves. But it's important. It's important, and it does tend to be one of the first things that go. You know, we're not, or many of us are not taught to recognize our own achievements, let alone take pride and pleasure in them. And so it can feel uncomfortable or even, decadent to look at what we've done and go unequivocally, wow, that's really cool. I have done a very good job with this thing. A lot of us struggle to do that, which is understandable given a lot of the societal coding that we receive, but it's sad because we should be able to take pride in ourselves and in our achievements and in our improvements, even if it's just that one extra length along the mat. That's still awesome, and you should still be proud of that, okay? Oh man, more water. Okay, my friends, we are gonna rock ourselves through to the end of class today with a very traditional cardio tapata ending, at least traditional for me. We're gonna end out with burpees. Yeah, we're gonna end out with burpees. Exciting stuff. Just that one exercise. I know you know how to do it, so I'm not gonna worry about that. We did it in the warm-up. We talked about form in the warm-up. So what I want you to really focus in on is just taking all of the energy that you have left and giving it to this exercise, okay? Last sip of water before we get going. And remember, this is going to be easier than the warm-up because we're only doing 45 seconds and then we get a 15-second rest. All right, so we're not going for a full minute here with these burpees. So I want you to keep that in mind, and I want you to really dig down, dig deep, and find that energy and just let it all, just leave it all on the mat. All right, here we go. So remember our form, okay? And if you have a little bit of a confused moment, it's probably because the last burpee we did were turtle burpees. So again, you need to get your brain back involved in the process so that you can get yourself back to a regular burpee structure. All right, doing that nice big victory clap up at the top, and no rolling on the shoulders, just jumping back to that plank and doing that wave push up. Yeah, so here we are. We have made it to the end of class, and let me tell you, this is a hell of a thing, and I want you to really pay attention as you're going, pay attention to your form, pay attention to your power. Start to recognize when your brain is the thing holding you back or telling you that you're tired, okay? You can tell the difference between my brain is telling me I'm tired and my body is corroborating that, okay? Because a lot of times our brain, in its attempts to protect us, which we appreciate, thank you, brain, thank you for your help, but a lot of times our brain will try to protect us by trying to convince us to back off, to do whatever it is we're trying to do
with the minimum amount of energy necessary in case a saber-toothed tiger appears in our living room and tries to eat us for lunch, okay? And these are the times that we need to calmly pat our brain on the head, and we need to thank it for trying to take care of us, but we need to remind it that A, saber-toothed tigers are extinct, and B, we are here deliberately trying to push ourselves. We are trying to push to the limits of our energy so that the next time that we try this push, we have more energy to work with. And that's the beautiful thing, right? The beautiful thing is when we push ourselves here and we're like, we feel like we are going to the absolute limits of our capability and we don't know how we're going to continue and we're getting super exhausted. We get to the end and we're like, oh my God, I don't know how I made it through that. The next time that you do this, you will discover that getting to that degree of energy output feels a little easier. It doesn't feel quite as much like you are at the limits of your ability. And that is part of how we raise those limits is by pushing up against them, okay? And that's been our goal throughout this entire month. Our goal has been pushing up against the limits of our ability so that we can stretch them out and so that we can get further before we hit those limits, okay? And it's not going to be a case of unrestricted growth forever. We are human beings, not late stage capitalism, but a lot of us haven't really had the need to put that much energy and intensity into our fitness in a while. And you know, if you've hit a level of performance that you're super comfortable with, that's awesome. Maintain that. That's great. But if you're coming to class and just feeling a little frustrated and like there's more that you could be doing, there absolutely is more. And there's so much we can do to discover our what our true limits are and to really dig in and be proud that they are much further forward than we thought that they were, you know? Because many of us have sort of trained ourselves to not push too hard, and that comes out of a lot of different life experiences. And never shame yourself for that, because you know what? Many of us deal with it. This here, in class, on the stream, I want this to be a safe space for you to push your limits, okay? We're in our living rooms. There's no one around us. There's no one watching us, judging us, making us feel less than. There's only us. You there on your mat, me on your laptop, on your TV, wherever you're watching this stream. And this is the perfect time for you to just dig in and go, cool, I don't have to worry about looking stupid. I don't have to worry about, you know, asking beginners questions in a room full of experts. I can just try. And maybe I won't succeed on the first go of everything, but I will improve and I will get better. And that is going to be amazing. So here we are, my friends, in our final 45 seconds of burpees. So make sure your push-ups are strong. Make sure your victory claps are nice and big. Make sure that when you jump, you are leaving the mat. And make sure that you are reminding yourself with every movement that you are doing a great job and that you should be extremely proud of everything that you have accomplished. Oh man, yeah, good job everybody. Holy cow. Okay, we are gonna stretch because that feels super good right now. So let's everybody get on your mats and just take a sec to stand. Let your shoulders relax. If you're struggling to do that, lift them up and then drop them, up and then drop them, and just try to leave them where they drop, okay? Got our feet about hip width apart, and just focus in on taking some nice deep breaths. There we go. So you can feel your heart rate start to come down a little, your breathing start to soften, start to slow. And now we're going to drop our chin to our chest and just let it hang there. And then look up towards the ceiling, not directly above your head. Keep a nice diagonal line so my eyes are looking up and forward, so I'm not crunching the top of my neck. I'm just gonna go down and up and down and up, and just keep going back and forth. All right. All right, now bring your head back to neutral and look to your side, to your left side, over your shoulder. Hopefully I'm mirrored. When I was, training in dance more intensively, anyone leading a warm-up at the front of class would tell us to start with the right side, but of course they would have to do it mirrored. But I have no idea if I'm coming through on the camera in that same mirrored way or not. So we're just looking straight out over our shoulders, going back and forth and back and forth. And then let's drop one ear down to one shoulder. Take that same arm as shoulder. Put the hand on the side of the head. We're not pulling down on the head. We're just letting the weight of the arm and gravity pull the head down a little bit and just increase that stretch along the scalenes. So you don't want to be pulling so far that your shoulder on the other side is coming up, anything like that. We're still keeping pretty straight line of the rest of the body. All right, and release, back to neutral. And other side. So again, we're not pulling down, we're just letting gravity do its work. All right, and now we're going to drop our chin back down to our chest, and we're going to roll slowly down one vertebra at a time, like this, on an 8 count, and I'll count that out until we are folded over at the hips and our hands are on the floor or as close to as they can get. All right, so your chin to chest, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shake your head out a little bit so you're not clenching your neck. Really feel the stretch along your hamstrings. Make sure that your knees are not locked like this. There is a little bit of a bend. It's still, my legs are still pretty straight, but you want a little bit of a bend so that if somebody came back here and tapped, your knee would go forward as opposed to tap, no, my knee is locked in place, okay? Now, again, on an 8 count, we're going to squat down on 4 and come back to this position on 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 5, 6, 7, 8. Shake those heads out again. And now take your hands to your elbows. So now gravity can help pull your torso even closer to your hamstrings. Let your back sway back and forth a little bit. All right. Drop those hands. Bring them behind your ankles. And just see if you can pull your torso a little bit closer to your thighs. Shaking that head out whenever you start to worry that you're clenching your neck, okay? And now we're going to bend our knees and roll back up on an 8 count and just stand when we get to the top. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stand right there. Don't adjust your hair. Don't adjust your clothes. Don't adjust your position. Feel the new height in your spine. Feel the blood moving back out through all of your extremities. Take some nice deep breaths. And then shake out a little bit. Oh man. Good job, everybody. Woo! And then drink a lot of water, because I have not drunk enough water, as evidenced by the fact that I still have 2 cups of it left in this mason jar. There we go. Getting closer. All right. My friends, what a good class. What an intense class. That, adding extra work interval time on a cardio class is really intense because of the fact that our cardio classes are hi, yes, blark, honk, etc., etc. But it makes sense because our cardio classes, again, they're designed to be sprints. They're designed for us to really utilize all of the power and intensity and energy that we have for small increments of time. And so when we increase those increments, we increase the amount of time that we have to maintain that intensity. And that is no joke. So I hope that you're just patting yourself on the back, on the head, shaking your own hand, because yeah, that was intense. That was intense for me. I'm sure it was intense for you. We all made it through, and we should all be very proud of ourselves. Huzzah! It's still a little light outside too, which is nice. I'm glad that I used the lighting setup anyway because I need to be in the habit of that, but I'm excited that I'll be able to open my curtains for a little bit after class and get a little more natural light in here. But yes, I think that that was a good
cardio class for this Wednesday afternoon into evening, my dears. We've got 2 more classes this week, 2 remaining Rocktober classes. So Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And Saturday, which is also Halloween, is the weekend kickoff at 9 a.m. So start your Halloween off right with an exercise class. It's our strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. It's one of my favorite classes that we do, and it will be a great closeout to Rocktober. Come in costume if you want to, and send me pictures on Twitter because I won't be able to see you in costume. But yes, have fun with it. I know that for many of us, Halloween this year is not at all what we had dreamed or hoped it would be. So let's do what we can to find a little joy in it for ourselves this year. It's important. It's important to find those points of joy where we can, and to not always focus on what seems like a never-ending stream of negativity. There are still beautiful and happy things in the world, and it's important to remind ourselves of that. All right, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end card, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where I upload all the VODs from these streams and where a lot of additional material is going to be going up. So head over there and subscribe if that's your jam, and get access to VODs, get access to form videos, to stretching sequences, warm-up sequences, all that fun stuff. If you want to help me financially in continuing to make these streams, I do have a coffee account, Blanche Case Fitness. Donations are always appreciated. And if you want to help keep growing this community, and keep, help me to grow the content that I'm able to make, then please do follow this channel. We're rounding the corner on affiliate status, which is exciting. It's slow going, but you know what? We're taking it at our own pace, and I think that's an important thing to do, but we're getting really close. So please do follow the channel. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones, your coworkers, your frenemies, anybody who's looking for a good workout that they can do literally from anywhere where they have an internet connection. And yeah, stick around, come back to class, look forward to to a world in which we're doing different programs, because as fun as Rocktober has been, I am definitely looking forward to getting a little bit more variety back in our programming, and I'm sure you are too. But thanks for coming today. Make sure to eat food, make sure to rehydrate, and I will see some of you back here on Friday. Mwah. Have a great night.